Hello, everyone. So, today I'm going to be talking about mindfulness and why mindfulness is so powerful and such an effective way to help relieve stress and just to help you feel good and at peace within yourself. Um, Mindfulness is something that has been practiced within the mental health community for many, many years, in fact, for over 100 years. And has had proven effects with disorders such as depression, anxiety, PTSD, and so forth to help people find some more balance in their life. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, mindfulness. Mindfulness is basically the ability to become present, to move away from the future or the past and bring yourself back into the present moment. Now, fundamentally, everything around us only exists now in the present. The future hasn't happened, the past is already there. And in Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, what he basically says is that all stress and anxiety is based on time. So we feel anxious about the future and we feel stressed about things that have happened in the past. Okay, based on that experience, anticipation of how things will come into the future. So stress and anxiety are very much based on the perception of time. This is why mindfulness and learning to become present is so powerful, because it helps us to take time out of the equation and helps us to become present in the moment, in the moment of now. And if you think about it, right now at this very moment, we don't have problems in the present, in the very moment right now. You're listening to this, okay? Right now, there is nothing going on, okay? Now that's not to say that you're not worrying about things that could potentially happen in the future, okay, or thinking about things that have worried you in the past, but once again, that's not now. These are moments in time that don't exist in the now. So mindfulness helps bring perspective back into the now. So, as I said, mindfulness reduces stress and anxiety. Mindfulness also increases mental clarity, so it helps you to think clearly. It brings you back to the present moment, which I've already mentioned. It helps you to solve problems. So when you're mindful, when you're practicing mindfulness, when you're in the present moment, um, you're actually able to tap into parts of your brain, parts of your mind that you normally wouldn't be able to tap into. Because when you're mindful, when you're in the present moment, and when you're being mindful of now, your stress your stress goes away and your anxiety goes away. You're able to focus on things that you normally wouldn't be able to focus on. So you're not focusing on stress or anxiety. You're just able to focus on now, and when you can focus on the now, thoughts that you normally wouldn't be able to access, you now have access to, okay? Because you don't have the stress or the anxiety blocking your access to that. So it can actually help you to solve problems. It can help your creative juices flow and help you to think of things that you normally wouldn't be able to think of under stress or anxious conditions, okay? Practicing mindfulness also helps you to feel peaceful. Okay, when you're practicing mindfulness in whatever form that is, you feel at peace because there is nothing bothering you. There is nothing going on that causes you to feel stress or anxiety or any distractions. So it helps you feel peaceful. It helps you. There's no turbulence going on, so you naturally feel peaceful when you're mindful. It also helps reduce insomnia. So if you have problems sleeping, learning and practicing mindfulness can help you to sleep better, improves sleep quality, longevity. Um, so yeah, it helps you with your insomnia. It's also been shown to reduce symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, so PTSD. So if you've had a severe trauma in your life that is impeding on your life and on your mental state, practicing mindfulness can actually help with those symptoms. Okay, so you feel less traumatized by bringing you back into the present moment. So, how can you be mindful? Okay, so there's a few ways to do it. I've just written a few points here, just for you to try out. So what you want to do is you want to focus on your breathing. So just close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Okay, breathing in, breathing out, and just feel the breath. Feel the breath. Listen to the air as it goes into your lungs and how when you're breathing out, just listen to the flow of the air, okay, and just be present, be mindful of the air. If you're in the middle of, if your mindfulness doesn't have to be doing nothing, you can also be mindful while you're doing something. Excuse me. For example, while you're eating. For example, you can eat mindfully, taking the time to chew your food, being mindful of how your saliva mixes with the food as you're chewing on it. When you swallow the food, feeling the sensation of the food going down your throat. Okay. You can be mindful as you're working. Sometimes working can be very meditative, very mindful. If you're doing a task that doesn't require much thought and you're just in that moment, you can be mindful. Be mindful of how you're writing or how you're typing on the keyboard. Okay, that's mindfulness. Mindfulness is being mindful of the present moment, always bringing yourself back to the moment. Another way you can get into a mindful state is to listen to birds or nature or wind. Okay, if you listen to these sounds, it can help you bring you back to the present moment. Our bodies are actually designed to become more relaxed and to be more present with the sound of birds. That's nature's way to help us de-stress. Excuse me. Okay, now if you're trying to be mindful, normally the act of trying to be mindful can have the opposite effect. Okay, and so when you're being mindful, just relax and let it flow. And if you do get thoughts coming up into your mind, it's okay. It's normal. It's natural for thoughts to pop up. What you can do is you can actually just observe the thought. Thank the thought for being present. The thought serves a purpose. And then watch the thought float away. Okay. Frequently I use a water stream with a leaf when I'm doing mindfulness with my clients, and I get them to place the thought on the leaf, and then the stream floating the leaf away, so they're observing their thought flows away. I've had a lot of success with that. But you can use whatever you want. You can have a cloud floating the thought away. Okay, so there's no right or wrong way to do this. Okay, now time doesn't actually exist in the mind. Okay, time is a human construct so that we can exist in the outside world, and we need time because it helps us function. There's utility there, but in the mind there is no time. That's the reason why when something happens to you as a child, you can still be traumatized by it years down the track, and you can think about that same event and your body still reacts like whatever happened as a child is happening now, even though it's not. Okay, so time doesn't exist in the mind, and vice versa. If you've had happy experiences growing up, you can take your mind back to those happy experiences and relive the same feelings over and over again. Okay, so time doesn't exist in the mind. Okay, you can take yourself to your happy space whenever you like. Okay, and this is the power of mindfulness. When you practice mindfulness, you can take your consciousness, you can take your thoughts, you can take your presence, into that space whenever you like, and it's a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful creation. It's a beautiful part of our creation to be able to do that, to be able to have the ability, to be able to have the power to take ourselves to that happy space whenever we like. Okay, so if you feel stressed, you can control your breathing. You can start to relax through your breath, tapping into what's known as your parasympathetic nervous system. So breathing out longer than you breathe in. So and as you're doing that, practicing mindfulness by focusing on your breath. Okay, and as you start to feel a little bit more relaxed, start to think about those happy times. And as you start to think about those happy times, be mindful of the way you're feeling. Be mindful of the peace. Okay, if you're sitting on a chair, focus on the fabric of the chair. Run your hand over the fabric of the chair and focus on it. Okay, if you're at a table, have a look at the little nuances on the table. At the curves, at the at the color. Okay, what sounds are around you? Okay, listen to the sounds. Be present. Be present in the moment. Okay, what thoughts are popping up into your head? You can even be present with those thoughts as you're watching them float away. Okay, if you start thinking about, or you start moving into a space where you feel that those thoughts of happiness coming back from the past is starting to come up, experience it mindfully in the present moment. Okay, this is the sort of power that you have. So there's there's actually quite a number of studies done which shows the beneficial effects of mindfulness. And I get that it's easier said than done. Okay, when you're in the moment, when you're feeling stressed and anxious, it can be very difficult to get yourself out of that state. But if you put the effort in, if you really put the effort in, and you just take a breath and you start to practice mindfulness, you can take yourself out of that state. You can start to bring focus and clarity back into your life in these moments. Okay, and the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. Okay, it's the reason why Tibetan monks can practice meditation and stay in a complete meditative state for 12 hours. Some even 24 hours. I think some of them actually can do it for days. It's pretty amazing what you can do with enough practice. Okay, so it becomes easier and easier over time. In our Western culture, in our fast-paced culture, we don't place enough attention on mindfulness, and that's why it can be very daunting when you're first starting to practice mindfulness after living such a fast-paced life, because you're not used to it. It's like starting anything. You've got to practice it to build your mindfulness muscle. Okay, the more you practice, the stronger it gets, the easier it becomes. And the more you start to feel that peace through your mindfulness, the more peaceful you will become. Okay? And the more peaceful you'll become, the lighter you'll feel. Okay? And eventually, if and when things come into your life that can be labeled as negative, you'll be able to deal with it a lot better because of the practice of mindfulness that you have been doing. So, practice mindfulness every day, okay? Even if you start 10-15 minutes before bed, just put some music on, as in meditative music, put some very peaceful music on, and just lie down or sit down with your eyes closed, just being in the moment, listening to that music. Okay? Try not to have distractions if you can. With enough practice, you can actually become mindful even when the world around you is hectic. That's the power that you have. Okay, that would take time though. That would take time and effort, but not impossible. It's how you learn to remain calm under pressure. Okay, by practicing mindfulness. In fact, there's physiological reactions as well that happen. A lot of athletes talk about the feeling of leaving their body in a game. For example, think it was Michael Jordan who talked about, when he had to make 3-point shots at the end of the game, it was almost like he was leaving his body, and that's because physiologically what happens is your cortisol level, which is your stress hormones, start to go down and your testosterone starts to go up. And when that happens, you're focused, but you're in control. Okay, you're in the moment. You're in the moment. So there's physiological reactions as well. So when you practice mindfulness, you are literally changing the physiology of your body. So it's not just sitting there going and that's it. Like you're actually doing a lot more than what you realize. Okay, and this is why over time, when you practice, the more mindfulness you practice, the calmer you will be, and the better it will be for you to deal with things, to sleep better. There's a whole range of benefits. So, long story short, practice mindfulness every day. As I said, 10 to 15 minutes every day. Be mindful, and try it for 2 weeks at least, and see what happens. If you get some benefit, you will get some benefits after 2 weeks. Okay, but you must practice it every day. You must be disciplined. Okay, many benefits to being mindful. Okay, now remember, if you want change, you're the one that has to do it. You're accountable for your success. You're accountable for your failures. You're accountable for everything in your life. All right, so if you want to learn to be calm under pressure, practice mindfulness. Take accountability. Take responsibility for your mindfulness. Okay, well, if you enjoyed this video, please please subscribe. If you want to book in a session with me or contact me, you can do so through my website, www.alexrodriguez.com.au, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.